Hola and welcome to vlog number 20. I can't believe I've made it. Oh, I made it to vlog number 20. So since I'm not flying as much as I usually do, I've decided to do some Zoom interviews. I just know so many amazing people in all fields and subjects. But I wanted to start close to home in the career industry anyway, and start with Jim. He's a flight attendant who's also working in a New York City hospital during the whole COVID times, and he's a COVID survivor. So many flight attendants do other things. They're musicians, they're lawyers, they're doctors, they're, the list goes on and on. Moms and dads also. Single moms. How is it that you're a single mom and you're a flight attendant? So these are all interviews that I think are interesting, and they're important to kind of getting to know like the other side of chicken, pasta, Coke, or Sprite, because that's not all we do. So join me for my vlog number 20. I'm so proud to say I have 20 vlogs. And interviewing Jim and seeing what his life is like in this COVID times. So thank you, Jim, for being here with me today.
No problem. Great seeing you.
Flight attendant. I know. God, how long have you been flying now? Are you my seniority?
I've been flying since '89 with the 2 carriers. So I started in '89, but with American '92.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right. Because you were flying, yeah.
Which means nothing.
Well, it does. 1989. You don't look a day over 25. So.
Yeah, thanks.
Flying apparently is good for you. So wait, but when did you start flying for American?
92.
92. Oh my God. You're a senior poppy.
You started then too, didn't you? No, you were.
No, I started I started with American in 96, and then I started flying in 99.
Oh, okay.
I'm a little worried about maybe some layoffs later. I don't know. Oh, wait and see till we get to that point. You did EMS, right?
Yeah, I worked for New York City as a EMT and then a paramedic for like 35 years. So I've kind of done
you
both
did that
jobs.
at the same time of always flying, right?
No, I was probably with EMS about 5 years with the city. Kind of, my partner on the bus, he was killed in an accident. It was like a story, and I just had this on a lark. I joined the airlines. I didn't really know anyone in the airlines, no family members ever in the airlines.
So your partner and that you were in the ambulance with?
Yeah, and we were all very close when I joined. I worked for the city when I was like 19 or 18. I started, and I was working at Harlem Hospital, Bellevue Hospital, and then basically I joined. I started working for Tower Air. And a lot of people haven't heard of them. They were a big charter airline, and then they got in my blood. I was living in Miami for a few years. I actually quit EMS, and then I ended up getting hired with American. A friend of mine, she put the application in. I never wanted to work for a major, and lo and behold, here I am. So I've been doing both jobs, and then probably around in 1990, probably in the late 90s, I started going back to school. Yeah. Got my prereqs, and then I became a physician assistant. I graduated in 2000. So I did that. I was still in the ambulance, did the flying, all together. American's always been generous with leaves, so I've been on like 8 years worth of leaves for school. I've had a lot of friends actually over the years from Tower that had to quit like United Delta because they weren't as flexible with the leaves. And then after September 11th, I took a few years off, and now I just took another year off because of COVID. And more so, I kind of enjoy the flying, but now I'd rather just save someone else a job and take the year off, not worry about the holidays, and just...
Yeah, you're totally saving,
and see what's going to happen at the hospital. It's been really bad there, so... Yeah, hopefully I'm saving someone's job, Yeah, so I joined American in 92, and I kind of the whole time had, the jobs. I always had seniority as a paramedic, so I was able to get weekends and holidays off from the hospital and work, do my reserve months without having to really call in sick. So I was able to get by for the last, 28 years with American. So it's worked. And like I said, I've taken the leaves. I became a physician and assistant in 2000. And I actually stayed on the ambulance for a while. At one point, I had a bunch of jobs. And now I'm just working solely as a physician assistant since, and I've worked in the emergency rooms, I worked in clinics, and now I'm working in the last 12 years in a cardiac catheterization lab here in NYU, Brooklyn, and 2 miles from my house. So,
well, that's nice.
No commute. Yeah, it's nice. It's convenient. I can walk, I can bike, but obviously I usually drive.
So what, are you dealing with COVID patients right now, or like how?
Yeah, early on, yes, most of the patients, I think we, pretty much almost every patient in the hospital was COVID. It was pretty tough. They assigned all the practitioners, so the nurse practitioners, the physician assistants, and all the doctors, including podiatrists and dermatologists, they put us in pools. And every week we get a schedule, 12-hour shifts, and you don't know where you're going to go. So lately I've been working in the COVID ICU, wherever they need you to work. You know, we have probably, they've done a great job, our hospital, and I'm sure most hospitals here in New York City, they set up like, you know, maybe 10 different COVID units, probably 6 or 7 ICUs. We opened up an abandoned building across the street that was a nursing home. And they've really done some great things, you know?
Okay, so abandoned building, oh my God, I can't.
Yeah, so they've done a good job. So we all, you know, we're doing the best we can. It's all hands on deck, you know, and we're just, you know, I've been managing critical patients, and, you know, we're not really that comfortable with ventilators and stuff like that, but, you know, we're all just helping each other out and doing the best we can. So my hospital actually, last night, they sent out an email that since the beginning of April, this is the first time that less than half the patients in the hospital are COVID positive. So that's a really good sign. They just started Monday, they started orthopedic surgeries. We're trying to do more elective procedures, you know, and some of them are pretty urgent to do. So it's kind of like, you know, we don't know if this is going to resurge for the flu season. So we're kind of, you know, we're keeping some of the units. We're trying to close a few, but we're going to be ready in case it hits again.
Is that the general feeling in the medical community that it will?
No, I think,
or is that just?
I think there's a lot of unknowns. You know, we really don't know. It's tough. Which, I mean, they're going to try to use this mitigation for a while longer, but you know, maybe keep people that are elderly and susceptible quarantined. But you know what? There's a lot of unknown stuff. Hopefully, a lot of smart people are working on a vaccine.
Yeah, well, let's hope so. So this is major. You had COVID, which is.
Yeah, I was one of the lucky ones.
And you're back at work. I mean.
Yeah, they needed everyone back right away. I had very mild symptoms. I was coming out of work about 3 or 4 weeks ago. I had just done 8 days in a row, 8 shifts, and they started the testing for the asymptomatic staff.
Yeah.
And I went in, and sure enough, 8 hours later, I got the test result that I was positive. And I was pretty lucky. I didn't have any major symptoms. I had like scratchy throat, and I have this lingering cough. But I've been also trying to boost my immunity. I've been running, so I thought it was the allergy season. The weather's been up and down here in New York.
Yeah. So how was running? I mean, were you really running with COVID, or? I
was trying to, but I wasn't running very far. I was, you know, getting winded pretty quick. But I really was lucky. I didn't have any symptoms. You know, maybe warm, you know, a little low-grade fever 1 or 2 nights. They only kept me out of work for you know, about a week, and then I've been back since. So.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Yeah. No, go ahead. A lot of people had minimal symptoms. I've had a few of my colleagues die. You know, a lot of people get very sick. Some of my neighbors aren't even in the healthcare field. And the majority of people that I was helping in their own homes on my own time, the symptoms seem to run like 14, 16 days. Fever one day, not gone the next, back the next day. So we were treating a lot of people at home through telemedicine. I was sending them up to an urgent care center by my house where they would do chest x-ray, because if someone didn't have the positive results, which most of those patients didn't because there was limited testing, you had to assume everyone did, but you were afraid to go to the hospital because you were afraid they would, you know, be, you know, exposed to the COVID.
Oh my gosh.
So it's been tough, you know, but you know, we'll get through it. It'll hopefully make us stronger, you know. It's just, I think this is the worst thing I've ever seen though in my career, you know, in terms of you know, like September 11th was a horrible day, but it was kind of like you knew what happened. And it was just,
we cooped relatively quickly. We don't know how to recover from this at all.
Exactly. So that
No, I just wonder, like, do they feel like this could, since you are a carrier of COVID, I mean, do they feel like that can come back at some point? Or, I mean, what's this antibody thing? I mean, nobody really knows.
Yeah, I'm scheduled to give plasma next week through the New York Blood Center, and they're actually telling me they're not even going to let me know if I have the antibodies. I don't know why. They said if they find I do, they're going to give the plasma to a COVID patient. If I don't have them, they give the plasma to someone else. So, but then the mayor just announced they're going to be testing all healthcare workers in New York City for antibodies. I think there's a lot of unknown stuff like that. They don't know if you can get it back. It's really, I mean, obviously if you have some antibodies, you have a little bit of built up immunity, but are you going to continue to have the antibodies down the road 6 months from now? There's really, they're trying to do a lot of investigations and figure it out, you know?
They don't even really know. So if they inject a COVID patient with antibodies, they're not even sure what that could do, if anything.
From what I've been reading, there's been so many articles out there. They seem like they've been having some success. So, that's another thing you don't see in the news. Like, people are really panicking. Like, my hospital, small hospital in Brooklyn, right? As of last week, we've already discharged over 600 people. Our, main hospital in the city, over 1,000 as of this week. A lot of people are recovering. Only 2% of people that do test positive are actually sick enough to have to go to the hospital. Everyone else are trying to manage at home, with antibiotics, the Plaquenil, or whatever they need to do, inhalers, steroids, just to prevent people from going to the hospital. So the odds are in our favor, and we're not sure. It's all ages, thank God mostly children seem to be immune from it, but like, we're seeing young patients in their 20s, 30s, but obviously the elderly are more susceptible. But there's so much unknown why it makes one person sicker than someone else. My gardener just came to the house and he said he was, he's a young, healthy guy in his 30s. He was sick as a dog for, almost 20 days. His wife, his parents, the only one that didn't get it was his sister, who's a doctor, thank God, and she was able to treat them and go to work. And he said his cousin was 43 and died. So it's just crazy.
It's so random. I just don't even, when will we ever get a handle on this? It's so scary.
It is.
And how ready are we really for, like, this week in San Antonio, or this week, yesterday, some restaurants were able to open, not bars. So if you are a bar, you have to serve like 50% food to ratio of alcohol or something. I'm worried about people just kind of feeling like, okay, it's over. Let's just party and hang out. I mean, gross. Why does that freak me out? I mean, I don't think we're ready.
I don't know how many cases they've had there in San Antonio. Have they had a lot?
In general, like, look at, what is it, Georgia going back to, like, just open businesses and see what happens. I mean, is that terrifying? Are we ready, do you think, in your opinion?
I think, each governor is trying to make that decision based on how many cases they've had. I guess in certain areas, as long as you wash your hands, try to wear a mask, wear gloves if you have to. I mean, it's a tough one. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, It's a tough answer to that question.
Yeah, I guess. So you took a year off.
Yep.
So are you kind of wishing you kind of went with the flow with, like, as far as, how we're doing this kind of paid thing?
Yeah, probably it would have been better financially for me. But, it's like I said with the September 11th thing, it's nice to save someone else a job. I'll be working at the hospital, and it'll give me a time to be off the holidays. Don't have to worry about the scheduling. Just take a break and do some traveling, if that ever opens up.
Yeah, if you can. So what are you most looking back for? I mean, what are you most looking forward to coming back to with flying?
It's good. It's the best job in the world, right?
Sometimes.
You're
so fun to work with, Jim, though. Like, every time I work with you, like, you're so patient, and you're so, like, when it's packed and people are just yelling and screaming on top of each other, you're always like, hey, whatever. And some of us are like, oh my God, people are driving me out of my mind. You're like, it's okay. So you're always so light and fun to work with. Do you really feel that way at work, or are you just sort of?
Yeah, if I had even before this started, if I had my choice right now and I could have my dream job, I would just be a flight attendant. To me, I love that job. I don't care if I got stuck in Boise, Idaho. It's like, it's a great job. I mean, the hospital, I'm burnt out. I've been doing this a long time, so over 40 years, and I'm just burnt. I mean, it's a privilege helping people at the end of the day, but to me, like, it's stressful. Like, to me, with the airline, I mean, everyone has different stress levels, but people don't get to me at the airline. If they're a jerk on the plane here, I have all the tools to give them what I want, and where am I laying over, and the crew, just look out for myself, the crew, and, have a good time. But to me, so that would be my dream. The next few years, I want to just fly out, for like 5 years before I retire, and just, give up the hospital. And we'll see how it goes. So, yeah, I miss the people, but, and the fun layovers and things like that. I've never met a flight attendant walking out the door that regretted that job. And most of the doctors I work with are regretting being a doctor. It's like, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, no, it's a good job in so many ways. And I think in New York, we're one of the best bases.
Absolutely.
You haven't been to any other bases, right? You've just been.
No, not with New York. Oh, with American. No, just New York.
Yeah, it's the best. I don't know. Miami's fun. Other bases are fun. I was in LA for a hot second, and that was fun. But something about the New York crews that are, I don't know. We're crazy, wild, and fun. And I don't know. I feel like Well, we're supposed to always go by all the rules, which in general I think we do, but I also feel like it depends on your cabin and how, like, let's let the customers kind of determine how we want to do things.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Business people and they want to eat quickly and get that tray off their, table and get back to work, or they want to go to sleep. Like, we're here for them, so let's make this comfortable and like a good experience for them, not just like, I know American probably doesn't want to hear that, but like going by like, no, we have to do the soup and do this. Listen, if they want to do it in another way, I want them to be happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They told us in training, you got to be flexible. So
you got to be flexible. You have. I don't know. So you're working 12-hour days, you said?
Yeah, doing 12-hour shifts, and I just got off 9 days in a row this morning. So I'm off today. I'm on call tomorrow, and then I'm back again Tuesday. So
good.
it's crazy, but it's what you got to do. What you got to do.
Okay, well, you're like what? You have 9 months left. Is that right?
Yeah, it'll be good. Hopefully, I get some repairs done at the house, do some work, and do some traveling. Hopefully there is a job to come back to.
Well, I think there will be, but I mean, I want to travel. I mean, I'm just feeling like I get itchy. Like I need to get out. I mean, even if I went just to fly to Dallas for the day, which technically I really should not do that, but something. I just want to get on a jump seat and sit there and I don't know. So what is okay, I remember flying with you, and I always want you to be my flight attendant, because if there's a medical, I'm like, Jim got it. Don't have to deal with this. But like, what is your, and I remember there was a situation where someone had to be monitored and you had the stethoscope around you and you just walked around like effortlessly. And I was like, this is perfect. Like, it's so easy for you. And I don't know, I guess that's in the IMK, right? Our emergency medical.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. Gotta know our medical stuff. So what is your favorite flight attendant story of yours?
That's a good question.
I mean, I know we have a lot, but something we can share with people, not something.
I think looking back, there's been so many great memories. Like you said, the New York crews are fantastic. And, I've had a lot of medical emergencies. For some reason, I guess they follow me, and I've actually, in American, in the last 2 years, we've resuscitated 2 dead people on my flights, and had another serious one. And the crews
seriously?
fantastic.
I mean, that's not true. I've had 2 deaths, but in the last year, you said?
In the last 2 years, an American has an American Hero program, so they gave us all $1,000, the whole crew. And when we went for the debriefing with the crews on the 2 that we resuscitated, I mean, they were dead. We shocked them back. And one lady we worked on for like 50 minutes, and the whole crew got involved. And the briefing, like the whole crew was saying, if I wasn't there, the person wouldn't have survived. And I was like, that's absolutely the furthest from the truth. Like, the crews, everyone stepped up. And, if they weren't physically involved in doing the CPR or the breathing, they were controlling the cabin and doing things like that. So I find the crews are fantastic. We have the equipment, we have that early defibrillation, stick the pads on, and,
We really are trained for that. I mean, obviously you have above and beyond training. People should know that we really are at the ready. I mean, we are reviewed. I mean, not only heavily trained, but then we review every year. I go over, when I check emergency equipment, I think about, what I need to do with that. And where it is, because I want to know each plane is different. So
exactly.
Like Southwest Airlines just has the 737, so your equipment's always in the same place. But plane to plane, our stuff is all over the place.
Exactly. And the statistics prove it, because from what I've read, I haven't read it recently, but I think American wakes up an average of 20 people every 6 months or every year that are dead over the pond. Look over the Atlantic or the Pacific. And so it's a great thing. But I think now, so probably the most memorable flight, it actually was probably with Tower Air in 1990, taking the troops over to the Gulf War. And I remember my first flight over, we were the first civilian aircraft with 484 Marines locked and loaded. And we were escorted by the F-15s to Dhahran, Saudi Arabia. And we actually had a medical on that flight. And those.
Are you kidding?
And the Marines had all these narcotics and stuff like that. But the thing I remember the most about that, like, I'm so excited to do the flight and feel like I actually got a medal somewhere here in the house from the military. But what I remember the most about that was it was early on in the war, and we did a turnaround. We stayed in Tehran for like 5 hours, and there was an attack while we were there, and they got us out. Every Marine wrote letters. They asked us if we'd take home letters, like their last will and testament, and letters to their family. And each of us, we had 14 flight attendants, 3 pilots, so 17, maybe 20 crew members. There was a relief pilot, and they probably, I remember going home, going to the post office with like, I'm telling you, 20 or 40 pounds of mail. And that night, like 2 nights later, when I got back to Brooklyn, I went out to a local bar, and like everybody was partying like rock stars. And all I could think of, I was hanging out with my friends, and I just kept saying, I just dropped off 500 guys and gals in a war zone that might not come home. And it was like the rest of the country was oblivious to it. You know, it wasn't even on the news half the time. And so this job is, you know, opens our minds up to so much different things. And I've been all over the world with Tower and American. And you really respect, I mean, I'm used to it in New York City. We don't care what color you are, what religion you are, what you know, yeah, this job definitely is a good education in life and teaches you a lot about different people and their cultures, and you really respect a lot, you know? And especially like, I think one thing that a lot of people don't talk about, I've always told flight attendants, it's nice to have, you can't trust a company. If they go bankrupt, you're screwed. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what could happen in the future. And it's like always good to have something. I feel blessed. I've always had something to fall back on. You know, yeah, I should have stayed, not taking a leave.
Yeah, you just don't
exactly.
know.
And yeah, I should have stayed, got 70 hours pay like everyone else, but you know, that's not the right thing to do. I'm making great money, save someone a job. And it clears my head. I don't have to worry about Christmas. I don't have to worry about the summer. Like, I'm gonna enjoy going around, you know, maybe I'll come down to Texas, you know, I've been to San Antonio 20 years, go visit people, you know. It's like, you know, do a lot of road trips. I have friends up in Vermont, you know, I've never been up there, Rhode Island, never saw Niagara Falls. So I think I'm just gonna relax, you know, and just chill out and, you know, clean my house, get the clutter, you know, do whatever I have to do. Like, it's like, and I'll be non-revving.
I know, I'm so desperate to get on a jump seat. I feel so,
I know, it's true, it's true.
And we're so funny as flight attendants because we will bitch about all kinds of things. It's like, that's just what we do. We sit in the jump seat and complain about things, and we're like, God, I'll never sit in anything but a jump seat. I would love to sit in a jump seat right now and be like, hey, how are you doing? Like, let's have jump seat chats. And
yeah, no, it's true. And you know, I love the job so much, especially now because I love going to Europe and stuff. And like, I paused hitting that button for the leave. Like, it was a big decision for me.
I got all this stuff from Madrid, from that little pharmacy across the street. She said, you have to have this. And it's like this, it's a vitamin D, vitamin C concoction.
Yeah, vitamin
thing.
D. And Ireland did a study that vitamin D has helped a lot. So I always take vitamin D. I'm taking turmeric, my multivitamin, you know, a hot toddy here and there, or, you know, a hot ginger, and garlic is very good.
Gotta keep the COVID away with a little toddy.
You absolutely do. Yeah, it's scary times, but we'll get through this. And I think it's going to make the country stronger. We'll have to, you know, China's making 96% of our antibiotics, manufacturing. I think for younger people in the country, hopefully this tragedy will bring out the true American spirit and make us stronger, you know?
Yeah.
Hope to God. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have to be held responsible, you know, in positions of power because, you know, ventilators weren't restocked, N95 masks weren't restocked. I mean, that was my biggest fear of going to work. I'm not afraid of getting it. I've been around the block. That's what you do. It's your calling. But not to have masks, you know, my mask basically fell off my face, and I had to, you know, I got my masks from my friends that are, you know, in mechanics that had a mask, or the, you know, construction, from firemen, paramedics. But now we seem to have a lot of equipment at the hospital. We're still very short on gowns. And another great thing about this is, you know, I was interviewed by an Irish TV channel one night on Facebook, and since that, I've
Irish
had people,
roots, by the way. So
yeah, parents from Long Island, and you can tell. And basically, I've had a lot of face shields sent to me from a group, a church group in Georgia. So we've had so many people sending us supplies, doing fantastic things. It's like I said, every tragedy, the good comes out of people. You know, our neighbors are out every night, 7 o'clock, cheering for you. I wake up, I have meals at my house. My neighbors are making meals for me. I'm gaining weight through this whole thing because they are bringing food to the hospital. It's nonstop, and it's people are fantastic. You know, it's and like that. I think probably the hardest part of this early on, because now everyone's on board and we've got an iPad so people can FaceTime and say goodbye to their loved ones. But in the beginning, the worst part was being with patients that they couldn't say goodbye to their loved ones. It was breaking my heart. Like, because families, I had a call this morning, they're still not letting families in to see people because they're trying to protect them. And but now we've gotten better. We have a lot of, look, we've been giving our phones to people to say goodbye, and that's, the human part is the worst. And that's why a lot of my friends, we tried to treat them at home that had it. And we only brought people to the hospital when they were short of breath and it was necessary. But I was going around with my little oxygen machine and my blood pressure cuff and my stethoscope to, if you didn't think people had to go to the hospital, we weren't doing it. And a lot of them were doing the telemedicine with the doctors and prescribing antibiotics and the Plaquenil. I think they're kind of questioning that now. There's so many different medications. And, I think that was the worst part, just the non-equipment and just watching people die alone. It was just heartbreaking. That was probably the toughest thing, I think.
Well, I hope it's just getting, I mean, you said in the beginning it's getting less and less, so.
Yeah. Our emergency room now for the last 12 days, so many less patients coming through. And the floors are still bad. We have people on the ventilator over a month. And we are taking people off the ventilator. We took a young girl in her 40s off a ventilator. She was on it for 3 weeks the other day, and I think she's going to make it. So there are a lot of success stories, and that's what we're not hearing as much on the news. It's like, it's getting people crazy. They're stuck in their home, and it's just, you're afraid to do anything. And, I think the most important thing, I think we mentioned it before, is just washing your hands all the time. Yeah. Skin's coming off. That's the best thing we can do. And, I wear a mask everywhere because I don't want to give it to anyone. But, that's, I think, the best thing we can do, and just common sense stuff. And,
which we as flight attendants have, like, we're obsessed, yes. Like everything. I mean,
absolutely.
I don't walk out of a bathroom anywhere without a paper towel in my hand, just partly because I don't want to just put those germs back on my hands, but partly because I kind of want people to know I wash my hands, by the way. Yeah. I don't want you to think I'm serving you without, starting fresh. It's like a restart. I mean, when you wash your hands, it's like a, starting over again. And I don't know, I'm kind of disturbed and shocked that people are like, oh yeah, I have to do. What? Were you not doing that before? How many hands did I shake? How many high fives? And I'm like, ugh.
It's true. And you know what I think, what's common about the EMS job, and my oldest brother was always smarter than me, but he always said I had common sense. So all my years in EMS, it's very similar to being a flight attendant, because you have to have common sense. But I feel we also, being in EMS and flight attendants, we built up great immunity, because we never even used to wear gloves to pick up. Now we do, but picking up people's trays and cups all day long, and I never get sick, ever. So I really think,
the first 2 years of flying, I was sick all the time.
Yeah, definitely.
Constantly sick. And then after that, I just find it interesting that so many people I know who are flying, they're not sick. How are you not sick? I mean, I did Madrid, I did Paris, I did London, I did Miami. How am I not? I don't know.
Yeah, it's true. Good immunity, or you're lucky, or, and they say 50% of people that get this COVID have no symptoms at all. So that's a great thing, So now hopefully this antibody testing will come up and we can try to determine going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think everyone needs to be tested. I think it just needs to be, it's like something, how when we go into operations, like in the beginning of the year, they have the flu shot set.
Yes.
Yeah. I think that eventually it's going to be not just flu shot, but like, let's see if you have the COVID or if you have it, and let's give you your vaccine. I mean, I don't know. That's still a year away. I think it's like a year away. Is that right?
Yeah. They say it usually takes a year to 18 months, but I think a lot of people are, fast tracking it. And so hopefully we'll get lucky, and it'll become sooner. It'll be great. I mean, already the testing used to take in the beginning, it took 5 or 6 days to get the results. When I got tested, it took like 8 hours. I got my results, and now I think you get the test results in like 15 minutes. Some places are doing that. So it's, progress is being made. A lot of smart people working on this. So hopefully, and Dr. Fauci from down the block, he's a Brooklyn boy.
Is he?
Right, even the country, absolutely. His father owned the pharmacy down the block here.
Oh my
So kudos. You got the Brooklyn shirt on.
Yeah, that's right. I didn't even put it in the house. This is awesome. I just literally threw this on. It was calling me. It was totally calling me. Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, I'm going to call you back, but let's end our session.
All right. Great talking to you.
It's so good to talk to you.
All right. Thanks very much. Everybody stay safe out there and take care, and good luck to everybody. Safe flying. All right, bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye. Yeah, sorry. I don't mean...
He's biting you.
He's biting me on my...
Oh, look how cute.
He's biting me on my ankle.
Romy,
Who's
want to come up to Brooklyn?
Oh,
Hey,
look, I'm wearing my Brooklyn shirt. How can I show you?
All right. Awesome. Awesome.